narcissists are often terrible parents, not because they don't know what love is, but because love requires accountability, sacrifice, and emotional presence. Three things a narcissist fundamentally lacks are accountability, sacrifice, and their presence. My soon-to-be ex is a perfect example of this. He is not a victim. He was not banished out of our family. He did not lose his children, like he'll tell everybody. He simply walked away, willingly, deliberately, and he was calculating about it. And I truly believe that the reason why he'll lie about that truth is simple. Admitting that he chose himself over his own children would require him to feel shame. And as we all know, narcissists can't tolerate shame. So instead of admitting to it, like a grown-up, he'll blame me. He'll continue to rewrite history. He'll make up all these stories where he was misunderstood. He was the one that was mistreated or excluded. When in reality, he did not want anything to do with us. He completely abandoned his responsibilities. He was never a good dad. And that's the honest truth. He never bonded with the boys. And I realize that narcs, they don't bond with anybody. They look at their children as extensions of themselves, and sometimes they'll use them as pawns and leverage for control. I noticed that he would get irritated when the kids would not give him the attention that they gave me. There was no obedience or validation unless he was screaming and demanding respect from the kids. It was always chaotic whenever he was trying to quote-unquote parent the kids. He even wrote me a letter. I wouldn't even call it a letter. It was just a handwritten note wanting me to fix things between him and our eldest son, Julian. I was not going to be the go-between. Our son is 18 now, and he knew what his dad was trying to do when he was trying to destroy his mother's reputation. And I told Julian, he's always going to be your dad, and it's up to you if you want to have a relationship with him or not. I can't make Julian have a relationship with his own dad. You know, the narc did ignore the kids. I raised them. Even though we were married, I raised the kids by myself. And that's why they're not showing up for their dad right now. They don't care to be around him. You know, parenting is a thankless job. It requires a lot of effort in putting somebody else first above yourself, and the narcissist will always choose himself. He's never been able to be present. And in my case, he refused to step up. I did try to make this family unit work the best that I could. I tried to talk sense into him and tell him what he needed to do to be a good dad. And he simply declined to do any of that. I really did try to make the relationship work. Carry the emotional load, the parenting load, and all the responsibilities. Well, he avoided all of it. He resented me, and he ultimately burnt everything to the ground. He demanded all the bills go in his name, and he drained the bank account. But when it comes to the children, the boys, when they needed him the most, when they were younger, he chose distance over being devoted. And I was lucky enough to keep the kids busy, so they didn't really realize what was happening. This was happening more than 5, 6, 7 years of when their dad just wanted to be cooped up in his room online, tending to his friends online and his podcast, and would shut us out, and we played with our backyard chickens a lot. We had hens for about 4 years, around 2020, and it seems like a distant memory now that it's been 6 years since 2020, since that time that we had baby chickens that kept us preoccupied, and that was something me and the kids still talk about to this day. But that was part of the narrative my soon-to-be ex-husband will try to tell everybody, that he was rejected. Me and the kids bonded over our little farm animals and our dog that passed away in 2024. We're always talking about him. And the narc doesn't have anything in common with us. He has retaliated by smearing me and trying to turn my children against me, but they saw right through him. I know he's going to create lies about me. That's how sick he is. And I need to continue on. Well, I know our eldest son has written him off, not because of the manipulation, but because he sees the patterns. He felt the abandonment. He recognized the absence. And he does remember abuse. My son will never forget the moment his father emotionally abused him. And when I wasn't around, he told me that his dad threw a hard toy at him in anger. And I was not there to witness it. But my son will never forget that moment. It lives in his memory. And I truly think that the narc underestimates this. They think children forget. They think that time erases all the harm that they caused. It doesn't. Children remember how you made them feel, especially when you instill fear and betrayal is involved. That's why I truly believe that my ex has failed as a parent. He lacks empathy, he lacks the emotional regulation, and he lacks the ability to repair all the harm he has caused. He's never apologized, and he never will. He is incapable to reflect on his bad behavior, and he will never change. And my heart aches because my sons don't understand that they need to accept that about their dad, that he will never change. And if he can't change, there can be no safe attachment, and that's the honest truth. There will never be any trust. There will never be any real relationship. And so what eventually they're going to learn is that their narcissistic father never raised them. I did. They're going to grow old enough to see the truth. I think they already see the truth. I don't try to talk to them about this. It's a hard subject. And I will never tell them that their narcissistic father can't love them like they want, like they need. I know that my ex doesn't grieve the loss of the relationship between me and him. He's grieving the loss of what I did for him. And he's going to continue to blame everybody else for his problems. We'll never forget what he did. He was the one that walked away. He was the one that ignored my sons, our sons. when they needed him the most. And his abusive ways and putting his family into danger multiple times, it was a choice. And no amount of lies will change the fact that he will continue to choose himself over his children. And eventually everybody will see the truth. This guy will be remembered exactly as he is.